What's up? It is your Chic Mortgage Millennial coming to you with a video about some mortgage things. So today's video, I've been getting a lot of messages. It goes down in DMs, of course, comments, and you all have a lot of specific questions about the mortgage industry, mortgages, all of that. So today I just wanted to go through some questions and try to answer them because of course I can't respond to everyone. So let's just get to these questions that you all have and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Don't judge, right? Okay. So, of course, I just went through and actually screenshot some questions. So some of them haven't been able to read fully, just screenshot them and let's go. All right, so this question says, hey love, I'm currently taking my MLO license course. Any tips on how to land a job after getting your license with no MLO work history? I'm a closing agent part-time, so I was thinking that that should help me. All right, so whenever you're new, of course everyone is new to something at one point in time. You want to network. Yes, you can apply, anyone can apply, but I have a recruiting background, so I always think from kind of that recruiter mindset. And don't judge if you just saw my nail. I broke a nail yesterday, so got to go get it fixed today. I always try to think from a recruiter mindset on how to get a job and what recruiters actually look for. So you're brand new to this field. The best way to get into a new field is to network and try to. You don't have to know people in the mortgage industry, but LinkedIn is the place to be. You can start following people on LinkedIn. You can follow people on social media. And I would target branch managers because there are some people who want to be branch managers and there are some people who just want to be LOs. Right now, I just want to be an LO. My manager is like, you know, we're gonna get you to branch manager level and area manager. And I'm just like, People have always asked me, do you wanna be a branch manager? I'm not ready for that yet because I know my limitations, but there are some people who will jump out there, bring people on their team. They're not good at training. They're not good at managing, and it's just not a good experience. I feel like I'm good at those things, but regardless, you go on LinkedIn or go on social media and find branch managers, area managers, regional managers. Even if it says VP, they're probably not a real VP. I was with, anyway, so a lot of people are titled VPs and they're not really that high up. They're just managers. It's just a nice term. So look in your area and just try to connect with them, add them, start communicating. Hey, I love your stuff. Hey, I'm in your area. Hey, I would love to meet with you and kind of get some insight on the field. And you want to build a relationship with them because the mortgage industry is very relationship based. It's not the type of industry where, oh, okay, I'm just going to go in my own little corner, do my job. You're going to be working with this person every day for the most part, especially being new, because as a new person, there are so many questions you're gonna have. I don't even think people understand how many questions you're gonna have. And this person literally has to commit to answering all of your questions. Like, you've never put in an application, you've never run DU, you don't even know what DU is, you don't even know what LP is, LOS, all of these acronyms. So the moment anyone asks you anything, you may not know the question. So that's why it's not more so, okay, where can I work? Where should I apply? It's more so, who can I build a relationship with? Who's going to help me get started? And because it's such a learning curve, it's not a situation of, oh yeah, just go through, get hired, do a training. Like, no, you have to know what you're doing because you're dealing with a large investment for people. And because there are just so many different terms that are just mortgage related, you will not know that these terms exist until you start going through the process. So that is how I would go about getting a new job. I've had a lot of new or first time jobs. I've never, for the most part, I never applied. I can't tell you the last time I have applied for a job, but that's just because people usually reach out to me, or maybe someone that I know is talking to me and telling me about an opportunity. Some positions are just not, okay, let me apply, let me see where to go. So hopefully that answer helped. I'm gonna try to not be too long-winded with these answers, so hopefully that helped. This question is, I gotta pull it back up. All right. Oh my gosh, just yes, Lord have mercy. Why is this industry so hard, and why is there no support? I thought that was a good question. And I'm not gonna say everything else that was said, but why is this industry so hard? Why is there no support? That kind of piggybacks off of the last statement that I said when it comes to getting hired. So for the most part, if you are trying to get into this beast of an industry, this is 100% commission. And yes, while you're a W-2 employee, you manage how much money you're going to make. So literally, if I am like, which don't be like me, be better than me. But if I'm like, you know what, I'm tired. I'm not really about to promote nothing this month. I need a break. I'm gonna live off of my savings. Everybody gonna travel. Like, loan officers can do that. So with great, what do they say? With great risk comes great reward. It's a beast. Like, you have to get in, you have to know what you're doing. A lot of people ask me like, how can I get experience? How can I get experience? And I'm like, do your first loan. After your first 5 loans, you'll be fine. And that might seem like a lot, like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna get 5 loans? But once you get in it, it's repetitive, but everything is new. So you're gonna come across new situations all of the time. You just have to get in, do a loan. That way you know, okay, so after I submit the loan, it goes to a processor. Got it. Okay, she's my processor. Okay, so then now she's gonna put everything together and she's gonna submit it to the underwriter. Oh, okay. Oh, after the loan goes to the underwriter, they conditionally approve it. What's conditional approval? That means it's halfway approved? What does that mean? Or maybe your loan might get suspended and the underwriter's like, hey, fix it. Suspending this loan. Sometimes they don't even, depending on the company, they might not tell you, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this. So you're gonna be learning the process as it goes, and then you'll get familiar with all of the appraisals and how long does it usually take for an appraisal to come back? Well, you're not gonna know that until you see how long it usually takes for your appraisals to come back. Or once you start getting loans closed, then you'll be able to see, okay, so if I wait to get a clear to close the day before closing, yes, we still close, but I was stressed. I don't like that. I need a clear to close a week before closing. Like, you'll be able to manage like what you don't like, what you do like in the process. So the best thing to do is to just get started. And it is hard because it's finance. Mortgage industry, they're not really, when you're dealing with money, I just feel like there's a certain characteristic surrounding people who deal with money. You know, they're not easily impressed, not really enthusiastic. So you might ask a question, everything's gonna be straightforward, facts-based, and you have to be able to ask the question that you're asking. If they're not gonna help you and say, okay, it seems like what you're trying to ask me is this. It's like, no, you have to know. So with that, you have to network, have somebody like, hey, I'm gonna get on your nerves for at least a year because I don't know what I'm doing. And that's kind of how you should introduce yourself. I bet if you introduce yourself to a manager and just say, hey, will you allow me to get on your nerves for a year? I promise it will pay off and I will help you make money. You'll get hired. Because that is exactly what it is. It's hard, everything is new, and you're gonna have somebody who is willing and able to help you along the way. And hopefully that answered that question. But why is there no support? It's because everybody's trying to hustle to feed their family. You know, because there's so many regulations, there's so many guidelines, like, you really have to know how to look at guidelines, know how to look at a matrix and see what does it take for this person, this specific person, to qualify for this specific situation. And because there's not a one-size-fits-all answer, without understanding the file or the application, it's going to be really hard for someone to answer a general question, and that has to do with management or anyone outside of yourself knowing. Even now, I know that if I have a question and I call, let's say a manager, or I call support, anybody, they're gonna say, okay, let me look into the file. Like, yeah, we can talk about general stuff, but you're talking about DTIs, you're talking about loan to values, you're talking about all of this different stuff at one time. And the answer isn't just, oh yeah, just push the button and write Control F and it will work. Everything is more detailed. So if you're the type of person who is frantic and, you know, not really level-headed or isn't built a certain type of way, the mortgage industry is not going to be the best place for you, because nothing is one size fits all. There's no one right answer. So it just takes a different type of person to do this thing. Let's see. Thanks for your post. I learned a lot. If I won't get hired because I'm new, does it make sense to continue pursuing being an MLO? Yes, it does. So, and I never said in any of my videos or content that you won't get hired if you're a new LO. It's just you have to find someone who has the time. So I think I pretty much answered that question. It's a great industry to be in. It's growing. I'm starting to see a lot more millennials in the field, which I love, because I remember for years and years and years, I used to go to these events and it just used to be boring, and I just used to have to be like, and laugh at everybody's jokes, and it's just like, we are on two totally different wavelengths. Like, you're old, you don't look like me, but I would still have fun at them. But it's just like, you know how you're the young person in the room, and it's just like everybody, if something happens, they look at you like, Allison gets it. It's like, that was me. So now, I mean, still don't see a lot of diversity in the rooms as far as millennials, but it's coming, and love to see it. So yes, you should become a loan officer, get a mentor, get someone who's willing to help you grow, and you'll be fine. I pretty much answered that. Can you please do a video on the different types of job training, what to look for in an employer, and how they vary? Job training, we do trainings all the time. Like, life is a training, but do those trainings really help? Like, we're required to do continuing education. It's the middle of the year, so now we're already starting to see, hey, you might want to start your continuing education. We have to do 8 hours or more hours depending on what state you're licensed in, but 8 hours of continuing education every year, and that's just basically modules talking about rules and regulations and changes and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of training, and then whenever you start a new company, there are required trainings, and then while you're at the company, then you might have to take a training on this training because something came up about this training. But regardless of all of the trainings that you take, it's more so regulation. Like, okay, we have to take this training. Do I learn more from trainings or do I learn more from hands-on experience? I would say hands-on experience, because if you're trying to become a loan officer, or if you work for a lender or a bank or anything, those required modules, they are there. They have a module for a training, for a resource, for this. But as far as understanding how to take that information and to apply it to your application and to your specific situation, training, there's a lot of training out there. But you will need someone that you can ask questions. What do I look for in an employer? I'll put on my recruiter, my old recruiter hat again. So I used to recruit for branch managers, area managers, and all of those people, or top loan officers mainly. Not really the company at the time. They were very strict on who they hired, which some lenders, as you start getting into like the experienced loan officer life, those companies are going to be more selective on who they hire, because again, there's so much that it takes. They're not going to really want to bring on people who don't have experience. they want to bring on people who are going to help make them money, because these are for-profit, you know, lenders, investors. You're dealing with those type of people. So while there are several people who will hire you with no experience, there are some who are a little bit more strict. So in talking to branch managers, area managers, or senior loan officers, what they look for in a company, and well, I'll put myself in there as well, is operations is always the biggest thing. So having a good team of processors, underwriters, closers, like just having a seamless process and having those experienced people, it provides a smooth transaction for your buyer and for your agents. You do not want to be in an operation situation where you're missing closing dates, or, you know, the processor is unorganized. Everybody's just unorganized and things come up last minute and it's just chaotic. Some people work in chaos because they don't know any better, but on the mortgage side, yes, it's a 30-day process, but you do not want 30 days working with one person literally in chaos. Like, hey, we need this. I know we said we didn't need this, but we need that. Okay, now they're saying we need this, and this is just a mess. Throw the whole loan away. Like, operations is the biggest thing. And having smooth operations, it will also help you close more deals, because if you have I mean, yes, there are some, getting a mortgage is crazy overall anyway, but you want your realtor to return, right? To give you more business. So how the process goes is a reflection of, are they going to give you more business? Now, will things happen that's out of your control? Yes. Are there some agents that by the end I'm just like, well, I know they ain't coming back to me no more? That happens. I'm just like, bye sis, won't be seeing you again, and I don't care, you know. But there are some cluster situations that you just cannot avoid, because we can only know so much, and sometimes things happen during the loan process. You're trying to save the loan. People don't care that you're trying to save the loan, and some other loan officer would have been said, hey, we can't do it. But if you get them to the closing table through chaos, they still might not want to work with you again. But, you know, that's not an all the time situation, but some people do operate in chaos, and it's just not a good situation to be in. So a loan officer would look for a good team, good support team. Like, do the underwriters communicate with the loan officers, or are they hands off where, oh no, you can't talk to the underwriter, you can't email the underwriter, you can't this, you can't. It's like, no, that's not a good situation to be in. Are your processors experienced? Do they know what they're doing? You know, those are the biggest things, because at the end of the day, it's most of the time you're 100% commission, and if you don't have a good source that you can submit your loans and know, okay, I'm good, I know they'll tap me in when they need me. If you have to watch and overshadow everything to make sure everyone's doing their job and everyone knows the guidelines, that is stressful. So that's definitely something that they look for. Also, you want to look for programs, good products. I always say all lenders are the same but different. Like, when it comes to FHA, conventional, and jumbo, like, of course most lenders are going to have those products, but they will always have some type of niche product that, you know, is just exclusive to them, and, you know, different access to bank statement loans, or all the little popular stuff. We have a doctor loan now, we have down payment assistance, but there are some people who don't care about down payment assistance because they're like, I'm not doing down payment assistance, I don't deal with those. Let me be quiet. There are people who don't do down payment assistance, or there are people who just have their niche. So you want to go where your products are and programs that best fit your clientele. So that's something that people look for, and how they vary. I assume that that's like, I get asked this question a lot. What's the difference between a bank? What's the difference between a lender? What's the difference between a broker? And the main difference is bank. So a bank, they are federally regulated, right? You do not have to be state licensed to work at a bank. You do need to have your NMLS. I got my NMLS when I was working with Wells Fargo. That's why my NMLS number is so old, like 1083031. That's my NMLS. And I actually always look at other NMLS numbers because they're in sequence order, and my number is old. Like, I rarely see people who have an NMLS ID unless they're, you know, way older. But for the most part, mine is older than theirs because I've had it so long. I got it when I was working at the bank, probably about 10 years ago. I started working with Wells Fargo 2011, but because we home loans, we do equity lines of credit, equity loans, all of those type of things, we had to take those trainings. We had to know how to do certain things. But at a bank, you're not as hands-on with the mortgage process. It's kind of like you're just submitting things, seeing what sticks. The underwriters, they pretty much originate the loans at banks. Good loan officers, yes, they will still originate loans, but the difference between working at a bank, usually banks, because you're not required to be state licensed, they will pay you a salary and you'll pretty much work leads. Now, there was a big thing where they started reducing people's commission. I want to say maybe 3-4 years ago, can't remember. But the banks are like, hey, these people are coming in for loans based on our name. So they took a lot of the loan officers out of the branches and put them in kind of a call center setup where it's like you just they're paying people to answer the phone, take the application, assist them, and then underwriters are basically, you know, just working. And so that messed up a lot of people who are working with banks. So then they were looking to see, okay, should I go to work with a lender or whatever? Because think about it, the bank is like, people are coming to SunTrust because of SunTrust's name, not because you're the loan officer at SunTrust. So why are we paying you a higher commission when all you're doing is just kind of processing the file? Where, yeah. So that's the difference between a bank. That's a whole nother story. Banks, they also, because you get a salary, some people get comfortable working at banks, and there are some top producing loan officers who work at banks, so don't get it twisted. But lender, your commission is going to be higher. You're 100% commission. Typically with working with a lender, you have to pay for, well, you don't pay for marketing. They usually have different sources for you, but if you want to pay for ads or leads, things like that, it's pretty much on you or your branch, however they decide to do it, and however you're in control of how you get your business. So similar to a real estate agent, realtors, they have to go out there, get the business. Same thing with loan officer, your commission. So you're going to get paid a little bit more than if you were working at a bank as far as per transaction. So you may have less transactions working with a lender because everything is self-sourced, but at a bank you will have more transactions, but you may be required to work more at a bank. You may be required to, you know, clock in because you're working what's coming in. You know, that's why they'll pay you a salary, or you have a schedule. As working with a lender, you're independent, so I don't clock in. I'm not working from 9 to 5. I work from 7 to 9 p.m. Sounds like I need to work for a bank, but you know, I don't have set hours. I don't get to be like, okay, this is it because this is my business, this is my baby. Like, even though I'm W-2, yeah, I think y'all understand that. And then number 3, the third option is working with a broker. And working with a broker, that is basically, they are an independent shop and they work with multiple lenders. So brokers, they manage their own expenses, things like that. And then, for lack of better words, the middleman. I feel like they play the role of the middleman, because we can broker out loans as well, but we know as a lender, hey, if we broker this loan out, we gotta have patience, because working as a broker, you're communicating with, they call it an AE, who's basically imagine it as the loan officer assigned to work with the broker. So you go to them and they kind of process things. I don't know how to explain. I mean, I do know how to explain it, but I'm trying not to explain it from a negative standpoint. I just wouldn't work with a broker, me personally, okay? Because I also, when I used to recruit, I interviewed brokers, and their main thing was just the expenses that they have to take on. Like, you have to pay for a credit report, you have to pay for, I mean, you just have to pay for different things on your own. It's a lot on your plate, whereas when you work with a lender, all you're worrying about is closing loans, you know? So it's just, everything has give and take. Everything, do you want to be in control? Or what if there's a day, also, if working with a lender like myself, if there's a slow season, I don't get paid. Like, there's no, hey girl, we see your efforts, here's a couple $1,000s. No, you have to bring in that business to get paid. But I knew this was gonna be a long video, and I only did like maybe 3 questions. So I'm gonna come back with the other questions that I have, and hopefully you like this video talking about mortgage things. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm not gonna be able to respond to everyone, but I can do videos like this occasionally to answer your questions. And follow, like, share, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.